Assalamu alaikum and peace. This is Imam Malik Mujahid. It has been a while when I traveled anywhere. I think March 15th was my last flight. Coming back Atlanta, I have gone to Atlanta for a function. After my arrival, they canceled everything and I was stuck in a hotel, which even does not have, it was a 5-star hotel, except that the restaurant has same reception who went in to bring me some omelette. And I have to define to him that he need to clean the plate and what I want in there and what I don't want. So Muslims have to pick and choose to follow the beloved path of the beloved Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And but it has been a while. I haven't traveled since then, and I'm enjoying new things, like being with so much in your own home, so much with garden. In the morning, I hear rooster, and I walked and found about 3-4 houses from me, there is a rooster and hen and all of that. So new discovery, something difficult, something easy. I don't think I have talked to my wife in last 5 years as much as I have talked to her in last few months. So there are something good happening. But what is happening with the halal industry, halal travel industry? Travel industry is down. But what halal industrialists are doing, this is something which is going to be our topic today. A research says, by Authentic, the MasterCard and Crescent Rating, a Muslim-led organization, they did a research, and they projected that it is going to be a 300 billion market. I don't know if it is a billion market right now during the pandemic, but that's how it is projected. And they're thinking by 2026, which is not very far away, there are going to be 250 million Muslim travelers around the world. So we will discuss this today, and we have amazing people who have been in this industry. Sami Hamdi, welcome to Muslim Network TV. And
thank you for having me.
Assalamu alaikum. And he started because of his personal experience. He's a co-director of Halal Travel Guide, a London-based, where he's coming from, platform dedicated to Muslim travelers. And we also have with us Fazal Baharuddin.
Assalamu alaikum.
Fazal Baharuddin coming to us from Malaysia, but based in Singapore. He's a founder and CEO of Crescent Rating and Halal Trips. Well, I didn't know halal travel is such a big thing until I found I was just in Thailand for a few meetings, and somebody found out about I'm there and connected here and there. Suddenly I landed in a reception in a 5-star halal Muslim hotel. And I didn't know something like that exists. And they have many courses and all that. Of course, they gave me a whole lot of brochure to send some American Muslim their way. So it seems this industry is becoming big and big. But my question to both of you is, when was the last time you traveled?
Yeah, so I think I probably traveled around the same around the same time you mentioned, Imam Malik. So it was around I think 15th or 16th of March. And I keep telling my friends, this is probably the first time I have not crossed a border for the 4 or 5 months during the last probably 25-30 years.
Yes. So we are all stuck.
Yes. So yeah, it's been a long time, and as you said, also there are good things. Also, I'm looking after my garden as well nowadays. So yeah, you have more time for other stuff that you probably.
Yeah, my garden, unfortunately, in Chicago, it's all dead now. We have close to freezing temperatures already. Although today is promised to be way better, and now we have another guest. He is, let me see his name, Tahir Imran Miya. He's a consulting editor for Pakistan Aviation. He's an award-winning journalist who used to be social media editor for BBC Urdu. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Welcome to Muslim Network TV. So, Tahir, I have heard that Pakistanis are traveling. So, when was the last time you traveled?
I have been very fortunate to get my passport stamped by different different embassies. So I am one of the few, I don't know, thousands or I don't know, around half a million Pakistanis who can frequently travel. So I last time traveled to Europe, mainly in France, Netherlands, and before that I had
When was
experience of
it?
traveling.
We are talking about the pandemic travel. Did you travel since
I
March?
I traveled on 23rd January, the day when there was first lockdown in Wuhan, China. So I arrived on the day.
Okay, so Sami Hamdi, when was the last time you traveled?
February. I came back just when there was talk there might be a lockdown. So I was enjoying myself in the olive trees in the Tunisian countryside. And when I heard there might be a lockdown, I got on the plane and flew back to London so that I would not be stranded abroad.
All right. Well, you're wise enough. Well, our director of finance was stuck for several months overseas because he could not get back in time. So, so travel industry is down. Are there some places where tourists are still going?
Not really. I think I mean, almost every country has, so, has. I mean, there are some land wherever there are some land borders, especially in some parts of Europe, maybe. You could probably travel, but travel industry in general has been devastated. You really, I mean, travel is at a standstill. I mean, you cross-border travel probably is almost non-existent currently, except in some parts of Europe, maybe, where you could cross borders across countries by
Well,
road. Yeah.
we have a guest from London,
Mm.
Sami Hamdi. Are European border to each other open, or they are also closed?
No, I think people are going to Spain, people are going to France, not as many as before, but people are taking any opportunity when the government gives an indication that it's not so bad. You see the planes fill up. When there's talk that it's going to be bad, as the talk is now, travel tends to go low. But I think in terms of Muslim travel in particular, there was a notable uptick in August of Muslims going to Turkey, taking advantage to quickly go. When President Erdogan announced the opening of the Hagia Sophia as a mosque, there were a lot of groups of Muslims flying out from London to Turkey to be part of it and to take a holiday over there. But in October, the month that we're talking in now, the government there's been a big spike in corona, and now quarantine measures have been imposed on everybody coming back from Turkey. So there's a notable decline in the number of people ready to go and travel to these places.
So there is so just like in UK, your government said they're gonna pay half of the bill, and people landed in restaurants only to find out that it was a little too early. So there are destinations which will once in a while open up and people go and travel. It seems. So if people do travel, my question will be: is it safe to stay in hotel or those home sharing type of deals?
Uh, I think
Nobody
there
has
are.
an opinion on that.
No, I think that there's a lot of discussions going on. I mean, if you look at the accommodation industry, there's a lot of work going on in terms of certifying some of them as clean, health wise and safety wise. So you have the big brands like even Escort and big other big brands and even in Singapore you have hotels which are in Singapore there is what you call a certificate called SG Clean. So these are certificates given to hotels when or any premises which follow a certain guidelines, certain SOP. So I think the answer to your question, currently the biggest market out there is the domestic travel market in many countries. That's what, at least in this part of the world. the domestic market is opening up, in Malaysia, in Indonesia, in Singapore. So the tourism industry is encouraging the citizens to go and take what they call staycations. I don't know whether it's something that people do in Europe or in the US, but in this part of the world there is this staycation. So where you are in Singapore, but you go and spend your weekend in a hotel in Singapore, right? And in here mostly currently, I think it is the hotels where these things are happening right now. I don't think, at least in this part of the world, I don't think it's so much about the Airbnb type of accommodation, simply because the hotels are already putting into place a lot of procedures and things like that to give confidence to guests that our place is clean, it's safe, you can stay. But rebuilding confidence with the traveler is a huge task now. That the people are worried whether they can catch the virus again. So it takes a lot of time, even though governments here in this region are subsidizing their domestic travel cost, hotel stay cost, but the take up is not yet there.
So what is the situation, Sami Hamdi? So some people you mentioned are traveling abroad, but as Fazal is saying, that domestic tourism and travel is increasing. We see the same thing in the United States. People even long weekends, when people travel a lot, they were taking cars and going around within the country instead of flying. So what is people in UK are doing? UK, are people taking more local tourism places?
I think it's important to differentiate between the demographics who are actually traveling during this time, because it's clear that it's mainly young people, mainly millennials who are traveling because they've been told that they're less likely or less at risk of contracting COVID-19. So many of those who are not necessarily living with their parents or don't have much contact with the older generation are the ones who are more likely to be seen going on staycations, going on traveling abroad, seeing them in the airports, flying to different places and the like. And of course, that's one of the problems that the governments have been trying to deal with regards to containing COVID-19. So when we're looking at those who are going to the Lake District here in the UK, those who are going and renting out cottages, it is very much the young population. But of course, it's a double-edged sword in that we have the health minister here in the UK who implied that it was these young people who are going around and going on these staycations and the like who have resulted in the renewed spike in the coronavirus. So it's quite tricky in that while there is a desire to protect the hospitality industry by encouraging domestic tourism and encouraging these staycations, the UK example in particular, given that Fazal is here, so there's no point in me talking about that Asian side of the market, but in the UK in particular, the question is, how do we rescue the hospitality industry now that these staycations and the like have proven to be, according to the government, one of the part of spreading the coronavirus? So it's quite tricky, and this is why I alluded to that. In August, we saw a sudden increase in travel. In the beginning of September, we saw a sudden increase in travel. Towards the end of September, beginning of October, there's a notable decrease, a notable decline. Again, it's all about the messaging. If tomorrow, my opinion is, if tomorrow the government says, yes, okay, we're not going to do lockdown and things are under control, the hospitals won't be under pressure, I do think a lot of the youngsters, a lot of the millennials and the like, me being one of them, obviously, I'm not that old, but would be going out and trying to board the planes to go elsewhere, provided you don't have to do 2-week quarantine.
So I have interviewed physicians from Pakistan. I'm asking Tahir, and they were saying that the cases of COVID-19 has gone down substantially. Hospital beds are free, and schools have opened up. So does it mean the travel within Pakistan is back to normal?
I mean, travel within Pakistan, if you talk about road travel or air travel, it's almost not at the same level as pre-COVID, but it's much better. because almost all the domestic airlines in Pakistan are operating at least 3 to 2 flights daily between on the trunk route, for example, between Karachi, Islamabad, and Karachi, Lahore. And the bus travel and the by road travel is normal. So a lot of life over there is normal. And if you talk about the impact of this whole crisis overall on the industry, so you have to understand that Pakistan was pitching itself for all of these sectors, opening up for tourism, investment in tourism. They even launched a special license for airlines who wants to operate on these northern areas to Kashmir and to Swat, special flights, and they gave incentives as well. So all of those plans did not go well, but the domestic tourist market did flourish a little bit after the COVID in July, August, and September. I heard a lot of people who were who basically traveled to northern areas, who traveled to Kashmir for holidays. I mean, I saw Maulana Fazlur Rahman recently posting pictures from Kashmir, and then a lot of friends who went to northern areas, Gilgit-Baltistan. But overall, I think because in Pakistan, the government is not that much interested in helping the sector. They are not interested in incentivizing the airlines or the travel or tourism industry. So people are taking the risks on their own. And that is what basically worries a lot of people in Pakistan, because they have to take the sort of financial burden on themselves. If, for example, there was a new airline launching which has to operate domestic flights for 2 years. They delayed the flights at least till the end of this year. So there is a lot of investment that has been stopped. There were a lot of projects that are not happening. There were new hotels that were opening or about to be opened. So there is a lot of uncertainty, and because data is not very clear in Pakistan, so you don't like in the Western countries you have even in UK, for example, the data, or Europe, the data about total number of deaths is not clear. They did not include people dying at care homes and stuff. So in Pakistan, you can imagine how data is compiled and how it is shared. So it's always a very uncertain situation. And with the country's financial situation, the currency, everything is not helping in this scenario.
So for the people who are overseas, it is good time for them to visit Pakistan because of the currency and all those fluctuations. So there is always both sides of that. You're watching Muslim Network TV. We are talking about tourism and halal tourism, and we'll be right back after these messages.
My wife, she's a professor at the University of Cincinnati, who's Catholic, and by her watching and listening to our 3-year-old son watch Adam's World, she ended up taking Kalima Shahada. She embraced Islam because she learned so much about Islam and the other prophets. It really affected our life in a great way, and because of Sound Vision and Adam's World, we're Muslims.
I took my Shahada 15 years ago, and I actually am from a rural part of Ohio. And so I found the catalog for Sound Vision, and I ordered the tapes and the CDs and the books, and I used those, and especially for my little daughter, that's how we basically learned our Islam, and Islam entered our hearts through the wonderful works of Sound Vision.
Okay, assalamu alaikum, brother. I just want you to know that I love the Sound Vision website, that a lot of times when I'm looking for information, especially as it relates to homelessness, domestic violence, and women issues, I go to that website, and then I see what you've written, and then I copy and paste it and spread the word, because the wisdom is there. So I can't do any better than what Sound Vision has already done.
Sound Vision is our survival guide. It is the organization that provides skills for Muslims how to survive and thrive in this community here in the US.
Assalamu alaikum, my name is Anam, I'm in 11th grade, and I grew up with Adam's World, and what it taught me was unity, respect, and love for the Muslim Ummah.
Adam's World is the greatest show ever made. Take me to the Kaaba, man. I love that puppet.
Welcome back to Muslim Network TV. This is Imam Malik Mujahid, and I'm talking with Sami Hamdi in London, Tahir Imran Miya in Pakistan, and Fazal Bahruddin in Singapore and Malaysia. While industry and travel is down, how your businesses, how are you inspiring people or connecting with your clientele to keep them inspired for future travel? I mean, I can tell you, I have many destinations in mind, and I say, oh my God, when will I be able to travel there? But are you doing anything to keep your people who are connected with you inspired to travel when it opens up?
I think, I think the whole industry, as you said, Malik, the whole industry is struggling. I think no question about that. So, and all of us are trying to, waiting for the moment that everything gets better to restart tourism. But at the same time, and I think it's all of us here. The industry is trying to do things to keep the travelers informed of things to look for when COVID subsides. So in our case, we have two sort of platforms, as one is called Crescent Rating, which is to help businesses, to enable businesses and governments and tourism boards to help them understand the Muslim market and help them build services, facilities to welcome Muslims to their country. So that work, alhamdulillah, has been going on because there are a lot of countries are eager to be prepared when it really starts. So most tourism boards are actually doing work to be prepared. 2021 is also still not going to be great for travel. Most indications, most simulations that we do, we are probably looking at getting back to the 2019 levels, if ever, probably in 2023 maybe, or 2024 even. So we're going to have a rough time for the next couple of years. But we do a lot of work with tourism boards and businesses to prepare the destination so that they can welcome both Muslim and other tourists as it opens up. So so I mean, we have a consumer platform as well, which is called Halal Trip, and we do the same thing. We still publish content about what to do in Pakistan, or what to do in Islamabad, what to do in London, because still there's two things. One is you have to people are still interested in reading about or planning their trips, as you also said. Two, there's also still an eagerness within the local domestic tourism to go and I mean, as if you're living in the US or Canada, you probably haven't visited all parts of Canada even after living 20-30 years, right? That's the reality. So most of us have not really explored our domestic attractions and experiences. So there is a potential there. We have to keep going. At the end of the day, one thing is for certain, which I keep saying, travel, it's in our DNA. We want to travel, we want to explore, and we have been doing that for thousands of years. I mean, yes, Corona is going to pull us back a little bit, but we as soon as it subsides and it gets better, we're going to get back to travel.
So Umrah probably most likely is not open yet, right?
So I think Saudi just announced that I think that they are going to open for certain countries or certain. So they're already open for the domestic market. Umrah already is open. I think the stage 2 will be to open up for some nearby countries or so. So they have a phased opening. I think for the domestic. I mean, maybe Sami or Tahir might know better, but I think they're already for the local market. They have opened up Umrah.
I think the Umrah, I wanted to jump in about Umrah market as well, because coming from an aviation perspective, I mostly talk about. So Pakistani Airlines, bread and butter, or more than 70% of the revenue comes from flights to Saudi Arabia. So whether it is for Umrah or Hajj or other, and there was no Hajj this year, and then Umrah is still not happening. And I don't think that Pakistan would get into such a list because of the infrastructure or because of the availability of COVID tests or because of the trust level. So the airlines are still trying to get through this whole scenario. But I think if Pakistanis can basically establish some kind of mechanism and ensure the Saudis that they have a robust system where they can provide COVID tests for prospect travelers, then I think we can see that there will be Umrah market, but it's not going to be at the level that it was before. So I think for Pakistanis, most of the travel that happens for general Pakistani is for Umrah, and that is to Saudi Arabia. Apart from that, the travel market or the tourist, I think they belong to a class, and they belong to a sort of they have that kind of mindset where they are kind of understand and they are ready to take that risk of flying in a plane where they might get COVID, they might have to basically exposed to environment where they are not safe. So I think people are slightly accustomed to that. But then comes to people like you who wants to come to Pakistan. So it has become so expensive to fly to Pakistan that a lot of people who want to travel, they cannot travel for family reunions or other family businesses. So I think that from a Pakistani perspective or from a perspective that involves Pakistanis living abroad, I think it would be very, very difficult unless situation changes and fares come down. I don't think that a lot of people would be willing to take that risk or take that financial decision.
Okay, let's talk about what is the current size of, there are Muslims who travel. And there are, I think 1.5 billion Muslims around the world. And they travel all the time for multiple reasons. But when you say halal travel, is halal travel equals Muslim travel, or Muslim traveling is a different thing than halal travel? Anyone has any ideas on that?
I think on this topic, I think it's easier that, and I always say that because it's one of the questions that everybody asks, what do you mean when you say halal travel? And tourism boards often ask, what do you mean when you say halal travel? I always say that halal is everything that makes the life of the Muslim traveler easier. Anything that facilitates, whether that's halal food, whether that's access to facilities, whether that's access to the destination's culture and being able to navigate it in a manner that ensures that a Muslim can maintain within the framework of Islam and not contravene anything, all of that is considered halal. And I think the second strand of that as well, so that's from the consumer side, everything that makes everything easier. I think for the other dynamic, the other strand for it is reflected very clearly in the story of Abu Hanifa when he went to the market, found a woman selling an item of clothing for 10 dirhams. He said, this is wrong, I won't buy it for 10 dirhams. She said, please, I have to sell it, otherwise I won't make a profit. He said, no, you're selling it too cheap. She said 20, he said no. 30, he said no. 40, he said no. 50, he said, yes, I will buy it for 50 and make sure that you sell it for 50 and never sell it lower because you're affecting the wider ecosystem. So that's the second strand when we're talking about halal industry. And the reason why I mentioned these two is because, for example, at Halal Travel Guide, that's what we're trying to get the actors who are involved in the industry, those who are involved in developing infrastructure, those who are involved in developing the industry, we are getting them to come up with a uniform understanding of what halal means, particularly given that even the Muslim audience has yet to fully grasp what halal is. And the reason why I give the broad definition of halal is because it incorporates the likes of Japan and Korea, who are taking significant steps in order to try to cater for the Muslim audience, to grab that Muslim audience. 4 years ago, when we presented at the Halal Expo, they was talking about halal food. Now they're talking about how to facilitate cross-cultural dialogue so that the Muslim, when he travels to Korea, can access Korean society and understand it within a framework that allows the Muslim to fully grasp it, and vice versa. In terms of the second dynamic and about the ecosystem, the reason why I mention this is that the halal industry is recognized by practitioners in the conventional travel industry as an extremely lucrative market. When you talk about 1.6 billion Muslims in the world, the conventional travel market players, they see a gold mine. They see an opportunity to really get involved in this market and persist in developing it, which leaves it at risk of succumbing to the rabid capitalism that results in these very different tiered countries and affects the development of infrastructure in the various different Muslim countries. So in other words, promoting that ecosystem, which is something that we at Halal Travel Guide try to do by insisting that every trip that we offer is with engagement with a local partner on the ground who understands the local dynamics much better. And so I don't take up too much time. I'll give you an example of this in that we always argue that at the end of the day, travel is a very personal experience. Much as we talk about it in numbers and in technical terms and economic development and words like infrastructure, when I'm booking a holiday, I'm not interested in any of these words. I want to go to a place where I can relax with my food, I can relax in the culture, I can enjoy myself and have a lot of fun with whoever I'm taking with me. And we have to keep that in mind, in that when people are traveling, we have to encourage in this day and age, the Muslim generation, particularly in this polarized world where identity has now become a buzzword. We must encourage Muslim consumers to reconnect with these various different identities, whether it's Turkey, Pakistan, Algeria, Tunisia, or whether it's even with these other countries that are trying to expand and provide for the halal market. And the reason why I say this is that...
Yes, tell me this. You mentioned, and there are things Korea and Japan are doing to attract this market beyond halal food. Give me some examples of what Korea is doing, and is it the Korean government, or is the corporate sector or civil society, or in Japan? I'm interested in that because Muslim Network TV reaches America, Mexico, and Canada, 57 million people. And I'm interested what they are doing. So some of our people who are listeners here and watching our network can figure out how that America should do to welcome the same dollars which may be going to Korea and Japan.
I think first and foremost, the reason why it's a bit difficult to compare Korea and America is that Korea has a certain pull as a result of a number of Korean drama that has come out, that has been consumed by much of the Muslim population, who become so mesmerized by it that Korea now has become a hotspot destination. So Korea was receiving Muslim travelers, but they were not returning because they found Korea to be not necessarily hostile, but very difficult to navigate in terms of food, very difficult to navigate in terms of communication, in terms of how to move about. So Korea started with a halal month, whereby the government would give incentives to restaurants who would use halal meat in order to gauge to what extent they were Muslims would start using these kinds of restaurants. When this succeeded, they began to expand. So they got the winner of the Korean Master Chef to launch a series on YouTube whereby he's cooking halal food and explaining to the Koreans how Muslims enjoy halal food in a bid for them to start incorporating it. Then the Korean government began lessons for Korean entities for them to understand Islam, understand Muslims, understand how the Muslims operate. And now they're in discussions to open musalla and open various different prayer facilities, and also now trying to explore at this moment in time how to translate Korean culture and Korean history to the Muslims and provide an environment in which the Muslims can explore it without feeling uncomfortable, i.e. in an environment where there is no alcohol, in an environment where there is women can wear hijab and not feel under pressure or under stress or the like. It's a work in progress with regards to Korea, but they are taking significant steps. Japan is a bit slower in understanding, but they are taking strides in trying to understand. You'll have heard about the mobile prayer room that they were planning for the Olympics for Muslim athletes, because they believed, okay, we want to show here that we respect Muslim prayers. But of course, the Japanese are still in this discussion of how does halal meat threaten our identity and culture and the way that we cook food. But nevertheless, they're taking strides in this. And I think the more that Muslims are going, and this is the key point I want to stress here before I hand over, the reason Korea and Japan are pursuing these initiatives is because so many Muslims went that they were so surprised and shocked by the market and how big it is and how lucrative it is and how much disposable income this new middle class Muslim community has, that they said, my goodness, we have to take advantage of it. We have to grasp it. And the last point I will make on this is that's put pressure on Muslim countries who became complacent in how they cater to Muslim travelers. They focused a lot on Europe and on the US, but not on the Muslim traveler. So now when you look at indexes, you see non-Muslim countries rising and starting to challenge Turkey, Malaysia, and Dubai, which were the traditional hubs where Muslims thought they could travel in order to feel relaxed with access to halal food and access to halal facilities. And we argue at Halal Travel Guide, at least whenever we talk to some of the OIC countries, that if they're not careful, they will lose the size of the market that they have traditionally monopolized if they do not be wary and start to take the Muslim market seriously, as opposed to their continued focus on Europe, on the US, on non-Muslims in particular.
Brother Sami, you are very good. You can have until this travel industry is down, you can also start another work, being a khatib in a Jummah Masjid also. You're very good at that. Okay, you're watching Muslim Network TV. We'll be right back after these messages.
What was it like when you started this network out, when you started Sound Vision those many years ago?
You know, after 9/11, one lady called me and she says, what is your channel which I can watch? And I say, I'm sorry, we don't have a channel. And you know what she said? She said, then how America will know about you?
SubhanAllah. Anything you want to say to the people who are watching? That we had one sister who messaged that she grew up on Sound Vision. What do you say to the people who have been long supporters?
Thank you. Thank you. It is because of you we are able to do all of that. So the generation of Adam's world, you need to take it over for the next generation. And that's my invitation to you. So keep telling everybody where to watch. They can watch it on Galaxy 19 satellite, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, or EasyThing, MuslimNetwork.tv, or our YouTube channel, or our Facebook channel. And with your help, inshallah, ladies, the one who called me, what channel should I watch Muslims on? Answer is here and now.
Open up your eyes. Assalamu alaikum everyone, it's your brother Zain Bika from South Africa. One of the first educational programs ever produced for Muslim children was the ever popular Adam's World series. The colorful and comical Muslim puppets stole the heart of a generation. Sound Vision will be releasing brand new episodes of Adam's World with the launch of a Adam's World app. Subscribers will enjoy new Adam's World episodes as they are released, as well as all the classic episodes of Adam's World. So visit adamsworldapp.com now to learn more, subscribe and enjoy new adventures of Adam and his friends. And let's keep helping tomorrow's Muslims today. Assalamu alaikum.
Adam's World. Believe me, there's a lot to see. Bismillah. Let's explore.
This is, welcome back to Muslim Network TV. This is Imam Mujahid, and I'm talking with three experts Sami Hamdi, based in London, very passionate supporter, activist for the travel industry, which is halal base. Tahir Imran Miya, who is based in Pakistan, and Fazal Baharuddin, who is based in Singapore. Now, you were talking quite a bit, Sami Hamdi, about what South Koreans and Japanese are doing. Fazal Bahruddin, you are in the neighborhood. You're a stone throw away from these countries. What has been your experience? Are they approaching you and your group? How they can enhance their services?
True. I mean, what Sami is saying is absolutely true. I mean, the non-Muslim countries in general, especially in Asia, have been very eager to attract the Muslim market simply because they are in the neighborhood of many major Muslim markets like Indonesia, Malaysia. These are big Muslim markets. Even in the subcontinent, major Muslim, which is probably about 6 hours, 5 to 6 hours flight time from Japan, Korea, and Taiwan, and Hong Kong, and China. So definitely. So what I think so what we, apart from many things that we do, we have been releasing an index called Global Muslim Travel Index since 2015, which is called MasterCard Present Rating Global Travel Muslim Index, where we actually rank countries based on how Muslim friendly they are in terms of welcoming Muslims. So we look at almost 40 data points across many areas, availability of halal food and prayer facilities and all that. And what we have seen is during, and we released the last report in 2019, and we were supposed to, normally we release the report in April, May timeframe every year with MasterCard. And this year we pushed it back because of the COVID situation. So, I mean, what I was trying to say is that we have seen over the last 5 years when we have been, doing this index, that many countries like Taiwan, Korea, Japan in particular, of course, Singapore is as well, have been, rising in our rankings. Simply, we sort of rank based on number of criteria, number of data points, and they are, constantly, for just to give an example. So Taiwan, probably maybe 5 to 6 years ago, probably had 10 halal restaurants in the island. Today, there are probably more than 150 to 200 halal certified restaurants. I mean, these are restaurants certified by halal authorities. Same in Tokyo. I mean, if you go to Tokyo 10 years ago, difficult to find halal food. I mean, only halal food you'll find, if at all, is Indian food. So you go to Tokyo and the only thing you can eat is kebabs or biryani. You don't want to do that. You go. So now you will have halal sushi, halal ramen. So they have put a lot of effort in educating the different parts of the service travel industry.
Sushi is always halal.
They put alcohol sometimes, and they put other things.
So it depends on if you are using like soya sauce. Soya sauce is a problematic in some cases. So yes, sushi itself.
Talk about that a little bit, but one of the questions which I like to ask Tahir is that the Pakistanis from the USA who are working here or who are settled here, they send $2 billion to Pakistan every year. And I'm pretty sure they probably travel often to Pakistan as well. Why somebody cannot have a charter flight? If travel is becoming difficult from here to Pakistan, people who still want to go, here's an opportunity. People who can send Pakistan $2 billion, they have capacity to go and visit. I can say, for example, a couple of my children have never been to Pakistan. And they're grown up, they're making their money. If there is a system that they arrive and they go to all those beautiful places in Kashmir and Swat and see what Pakistan is and do a little bit of what Korea and Japan is doing, because they want, we want our children to learn a bit about Pakistan, maybe improve their Urdu a little bit, maybe, learn few things. If they don't know how to cook biryani and kebab, which Brother Fadl found everybody's eating over there. So what about this line of tourism?
I mean, it's very interesting you ask, because the owner of Pakistan's second largest airline, Air Blue, is American Pakistani. And before that, the second largest airline that went bankrupt, Shaheen Air International, the owners of Shaheen Air International were Canadian Americans. So they were Shehbai family based in Canada. They have businesses in Canada as well. And so it's very, very interesting that why nobody thought about this idea. Because right now it's the golden opportunity, because Pakistan International Airlines it's stopped from flying to Europe, and British Airways and Virgin Atlantic has taken advantage. So Virgin is going to start flying to Lahore, Islamabad. British Airways is flying to Islamabad. It has started flying to Lahore. It will start flying to Lahore. So they are taking the opportunity. On the other side, I think a lot of people think that it is a very, very difficult market, and it's not. It's very complicated. There are many, many organizations. There are many, many companies. Like there is a company based in UK called Titan Airways, or there are other companies who can offer you charter services based on number of passengers you have. There is a company based in Malaysia as well that provides these sort of like ad hoc charters. So I think nobody thinks about that. And if somebody wants to pay a little bit more, there are private jet charter companies based in Pakistan, based in UAE, based in other countries, who can basically provide this kind of opportunity. And if you are a daredevil, I mean, there were some Sikh who traveled on a bus from Canada to Kartarpur. So, I mean, the road is there, the airlines, the system is there. It just needs somebody who wants to come out of their comfort zone and maybe take the adventure head on. I think there are many examples I can quote here.
Okay, so a question which I would like to ask you, that how many countries each one of you have been? Don't give me a total number.
Yeah.
I think I've been to 16 countries.
16 countries. Fadl?
I've traveled a lot. I've probably been to more than 50 countries, yeah.
Okay. And Sami Hamdi got into business because he was traveling and finding it difficult. So how many countries have you been to?
I don't know, let's say more than 30, let's say.
Okay, all right. So that's good. I mean, when I was a child, I will sit there, and among the things I will pray, Allah help me become a good writer. And the other dua I will make is that I want to travel the world. So you are in the business in which there are countries I want to go to. And sometimes it does, become adventure. I like adventure. If everything is halal available, I feel that I don't have much adventure figuring out what I'm eating, what is going on here. So give me an idea. Who are the three most famous, say, travel influencers among Muslims on YouTube or blog and blogosphere or video blog?
I think it depends what country you're looking at, in the sense, for example, like if you look at Korea, there is a Muslim revert called Dawood Kim who has done wonders in terms of depicting Korean life to Muslims, not necessarily in the Islamic framework that perhaps everybody is typically used to, but in the sense that, for example, where he's been effective in is saying, look, I'm Korean, I'm Muslim, and this is my country, come and visit. And in terms of the younger generation, they love that kind of thing. But I think that it's important to understand also that the market does not operate in a vacuum. It operates within the context of the global dynamics. We live in a polarized world. We're living in a world that does not look necessarily as stable as it once did. And when we're looking at Islamic identity in particular, we see that it's coming under increasing pressure and significant pressure. And the reason why I mention this is that when you look at travel trends, when you look at Turkey and Pakistan in particular, there's a notable shoot in increase in Pakistan from non-Pakistanis and non-Asians since Imran Khan came to power because Imran Khan is seen to exhibit some sort of Islamic identity that perhaps those before him were not as ostensible in. When you look at Turkey under Erdogan, for example, you see that whenever people now are looking for a break, for example, they no longer go to Dubai as they once did. They're going to Turkey, and Turkey is taking advantage of this and trying to expand. And the reason being is that Muslims are going to countries now that make them feel more assured of their identity. And I'm talking in Europe in particular, not necessarily elsewhere.
Good point, Sami. There is a good point. Tell me, brother Fazal, who are the influencers you think are big?
To be brutal about it, I don't think we really have big compared to the conventional travel industry. We don't have huge names within the Muslim space.
That's the opportunity for me, I guess. So, Tahir, what do you think? Are there some Pakistani who are a big influencer when it comes to travel?
I mean, we don't have, like, I can talk about Junaid. I mean, he blogs as Ganji Swag. He has done a bit of work. And then Junejo, I mean, there is a local blogger here, but they are not huge. But I just want to add 2 lines that I think, as Fazal mentioned about Korean dramas, Turkish dramas have done wonders in Pakistan. A lot of people are traveling from Pakistan to Turkey because of Turkish dramas. So I think we do not have that kind of product yet that can attract, even in the shape of bloggers or even in the shape of our culture or films or dramas.
Actually, no, that's a great point.
On Tahir's point as well, like when he's talking about Turkish dramas, like I can tell you the Ertuğrul series in Europe has taken Muslims by storm. Muslims were traveling to Istanbul and asking to go to Sugut, which is where Ertuğrul made his capital. And the Turkish government realized, we've never considered Sugut as a tourism destination. They went to Sugut and found there were only very limited hotels and no facilities, but there was suddenly a huge flux of Muslims going and saying, I want to see where Ertuğrul made his capital. And it's only recently that Turkey has now opened a series of hotels and new, even Konya, for example. Konya was traditionally a staycation destination for domestic Turkish audience because it was Sultan Alauddin's capital. You have all these Muslims who are saying, give me, or at a halal travel guide, they're saying, give me a tour package that takes me from Istanbul to Sugut to Konya. You tell him, brother, listen, there are other big cities, you know, like in travel. He said, no, I want to see Sugut and I want to see Konya. In other words, it's driving it. And this is why I go back to the point about Islamic identity. What made Ertuğrul resonate with so many Muslims, middle class, second generation Muslims in Europe, born and raised in Europe? It was the fact that Ertuğrul was one of the first series to present a heroic Muslim on our TV screens, and every Muslim felt, I like that. And now we have the Sultan Abdul Hamid series. You have the Osman series. This is driving it. The question now is, as Tahir mentioned, can Pakistan produce something similar? Can the Arabs produce something similar? Can the Malaysia, Singapore, can they revive that history that the Muslim audience in Europe are so thirsty for, that they are dying to hear and connect with? This is the reason why I say, and I'll finish on this point, the halal market is developing. It's no longer just about halal food, as you said. It's about adventure. If I'm going to go to a country, I want to feel like I'm having this immersive experience. This is why now Turkey is now reviving its Ottoman history. This is why we at Halal Travel Guide are telling countries, revive that Islamic history, whether it's Tatarstan or the like, revive these heroes, show them to the Muslim world so they say, wait, I didn't know Ismail Shamil was this great leader in Russia or the like.
Same time, unfortunately, some of the countries are taking a reverse gear. I mean, China putting Muslims in concentration camp over there.
I was going to talk about that.
Country where used to be halal. In the 70s, they will have restaurant and hotels will serve halal and all that. I walked every day I will walk morning until evening, and I will always be able to find halal food, and it gone other direction. India, it destroyed the Babri Mosque, and it destroying Muslim culture, lynching Muslims. So there seems to be some people are getting it. other people actually putting themselves in the reverse gear when it comes to, and that's where America comes in. I mean, you talked about all the countries, but travel to America. World wants to come to America, but is America welcoming the world? Is any of your, are there people who call you and say, well, I want to go to America and I want you to book me a halal travel?
Wallahi, I will say one thing on the point that helps to address it. We do have people who ask to go to, whether it's Paris or Washington or the like, or go to America. But I think the key point that I want to emphasize is this. The halal market is rising at a meteoric rate. And the reason why I mentioned Korea and Japan is to demonstrate that non-Muslim countries are seeing such an opportunity with the halal market and seeing that influx, that they are now catering to the Muslim market. In other words, we've become a market block that's worth catering for. The question for Muslims, or the question of people like Fazal at Crescent Rating, the question of people like me and other operators in the halal industry, to what extent can we leverage that power? How can we leverage the power of 1.6 billion Muslims around the world looking for something relatively specific in the halal travel market? How can we leverage that to get gains from these other different non-Muslim countries, whether it's China or whether it's India or the like? And I'll give just one small story, of course.
The problem with Sami is that I love to hear you more. You are such a passionate brother. I mean, I'm telling you, if you go to Pakistan and start giving sermons, you will become a travel industry. People will come to see you and Imran together. But I need to conclude the show now. But give me, each one of you, give one of your website, please. So people who are watching and they want to connect you on the professional basis or services, because time is up. Give me Sami Hamdi. What is London-based Sami Hamdi? What is your website?
halaltravelguide.net. But if you just put Halal Travel Guide, you'll find that we've already been featured in New York Times and The Guardian. You'll find the links there as well if you're researching halal travel.
Fazal Baharuddin from Singapore. What is your website?
halaltrip.com. If you are a consumer, if you are a business, want to get help, then it's crescentrating.com.
Okay. Tahir, do you have a website where you write?
I write for BBC, so most of my writings are on BBC, but you can find me on Twitter at Tahir Imran, simple.
Twitter at Tahir Imran, simple. Not simple is not included in
Not
there.
in simple. Yes, Tahir Imran at the rate Tahir Imran. Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Sami Hamdi, for your passion for travel. Aman, you're inspiring me to make a movie about Muslims in America, so people around the world come here. And
Yeah, I think Sami should start a YouTube vlog. I think that would be very interesting.
I think it's good that we come together. Like, I met Fazal in Istanbul, and I had an inspiring conversation, and it's only gone from there, and I look forward to working with everybody.
And thank you so much, Tahir, and thank you so much, Fazal Baharuddin. It's just amazing to talk to all of you. And thank you, Sherdil Khan and Dr. Abdul Wahid for producing today's show. This is Imam Malik Mujahid, and we're watching Muslim Network TV on Galaxy 19 satellite covering USA, Canada, and Mexico. Also Amazon Fire TV, Roku, and Apple TV, and our own website, muslimnetwork.tv. Peace, salam, enjoy yourself, be healthy, productive, and travel safely, that is.